On a dark Arizona highway, a group of Hell's Angels bikers heard a faint, desperate voice whisper, "Please, open the sack, I can't breathe." What they discovered that night changed everything. This is a true, heart-touching story of courage and compassion. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Where are you watching from? Let's get started. The night was quiet on the long stretch of Highway 93 in Arizona, where the desert wind howled across the empty road. The only sound breaking the silence was the deep rumble of motorcycle engines. A group of Hell's Angels bikers were heading home after a long ride, leather jackets, roaring Harleys, and the smell of dust and fuel filling the air. Their leader, Ryder Cole, was a tall, rugged man with a scar on his cheek and a heart hardened by years on the road. To strangers, he looked dangerous, a man no one wanted to cross. But beneath that rough exterior was a code, a sense of loyalty and justice that defined the brotherhood he led. As they approached an old, abandoned gas station, Ryder motioned for the group to slow down. Something felt off. A faint sound carried through the wind, a muffled cry almost too weak to notice. He raised his hand, and all the bikes fell silent. "What the hell was that?" muttered Diesel, one of the bikers. Ryder turned off his engine and listened. For a few seconds, there was nothing. Then faintly they all heard it again, a voice trembling and desperate. "Please, open the sack. I can't breathe." The bikers exchanged confused looks. The voice was coming from the side of the road near a pile of trash bags. Ryder's instincts kicked in. He grabbed a flashlight from his bike and walked toward the sound, his boots crunching over gravel. The beam of light swept over an old, dirty burlap sack that twitched slightly. "Holy hell," he muttered, kneeling down. "Is someone in there?" He touched the bag carefully, and the voice came again, weaker this time. "Please, help me. I can't breathe." Ryder's stomach turned. He motioned for the others. "Get over here! Someone's inside!" They surrounded the sack as Ryder pulled out his pocket knife. Diesel crouched beside him, disbelief on his face. "Man, this is crazy. Who would do something like this?" Ryder didn't answer. With a swift motion, he sliced the ropes holding the sack closed. As soon as the top opened, a frail hand reached out, gasping for air. The bikers froze. Inside was a woman, bruised, dirty, and barely conscious. Ryder gently lifted her head, his voice softening. "You're safe now. You're okay." Tears streamed down her face as she struggled to speak. They left me here. I couldn't breathe." The other bikers stood silently, shock written all over their faces. They were men used to seeing fights, danger, even blood. But this was different. This was cruelty of another kind. Ryder looked around the dark highway, jaw tightening. "Whoever did this is gonna pay," he said in a low, firm voice. He took off his leather jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. "We're not leaving you here," he said. The engines roared back to life, but this time, they carried more than just steel and noise. They carried a mission. And Ryder knew that tonight, the Hell's Angels were about to show the world what real strength and mercy looked like. The roar of Harley engines echoed through the desert. Night as Ryder led the Hell's Angels toward their hidden clubhouse. On the outskirts of Kingman, Arizona, the woman they had found was barely conscious, wrapped in Ryder's leather jacket and held gently by another biker, Tank, on the back of his motorcycle. Her face was bruised, her lips cracked, and her breathing shallow. But she was alive. When they arrived, Ryder barked orders. "Get water, blankets, now!" The bikers moved fast. For men with rough exteriors and steel hearts, there was a sudden urgency in their actions. Diesel grabbed a first aid kit while another man brought a clean towel. They laid the woman carefully on an old leather couch, her body trembling from shock. Ryder knelt beside her, trying to keep his voice calm. "You're safe here, ma'am. Can you tell us your name?" She opened her eyes slowly. Megan," she whispered. "Please, don't let them find me." "Who?" Ryder asked softly. Her voice cracked as she replied, "2 men. They kidnapped me outside a gas station. They thought I was dead when I passed out. They put me in that sack and left me there." Tears rolled down her dirty cheeks. They said no one would ever find me. Ryder's jaw tightened. The room fell silent. Every biker there knew what he was thinking. This wasn't something they could ignore. He stood up, eyes cold with anger. They left her to die like garbage. That doesn't sit right with me. Diesel stepped forward, his face hard. You thinking what I'm thinking? Ryder nodded slowly. Yeah, we're finding them. Megan gripped his hand weakly. Please, don't get hurt because of me. Ryder looked down at her, his tone firm but kind. We've been called a lot of things, sweetheart. Outlaws, troublemakers, sinners. But no one hurts an innocent woman on our watch. They worked through the night, using what little clues Megan remembered. A red pickup truck, a gas station sign, the name Carter on one man's jacket. By morning, they found the truck parked behind an old mechanic's garage 10 miles away. Ryder and 3 of his men rolled up quietly. The sun was rising, casting a golden glow on the desert dust. They didn't go in with rage. They went in with purpose. When the men inside saw who it was, their faces drained of color. Remember her? Ryder growled, pointing toward a photo he had taken of Megan on his phone. She's still breathing, because we found her. The taller kidnapper stuttered. We didn't mean... Ryder cut him off. You meant every bruise she has. You meant every breath she almost didn't take. They didn't touch the men. Ryder wasn't after revenge. He was after justice. He called the sheriff, who arrived minutes later to arrest them. When he returned to the clubhouse, Megan was sitting up, wrapped in a blanket and drinking tea. Her eyes filled with tears when she saw him. You saved my life, she whispered. Ryder smiled faintly. No, he said. You just met a few angels wearing leather. Outside, the engines roared once more, not as a sign of rebellion, but as a salute to the night they proved that even the fiercest hearts can do the kindest things.